Good morning. This is a compilation of my lore short videos on World of Darkness characters in the Jure Kingdom of Italy area in Princes of Darkness during the 1230 AD vampire start date bookmark, compiled for viewing pleasure and review. This is actually how I intended to compend the videos before I began chopping the content into shorts and posting it piecemeal to get something out for practice and actually learning content creation online. If you are a repeated viewer, welcome. I didn't know I had those yet. Your thoughts and discussion on this and criticisms, preferably formatted in proper constructive manner, are invited and welcome in the comments section, as discourse is highly beneficial to this channel's performance. Thank you for your patience and enjoy. Good morning. I hope this correspondence reaches you in good health and tidings. Today we review the profile of a Methuselah of Ventru, Senator Titus Brutus Caesar of House Tinia of Clan Ventru, childer of Tinia the Explorer, grandchilder of Ventru himself, 1602 years old by the start date of 1230 AD. Embraced in 372 BC. The 370s BC is notoriously murky for the Roman Republic. Vitally, this means Titus is not Brutus of Julius Caesar's assassination fame. This vampire was born several hundred years before Julius Caesar or Brutus. Senator Titus is the Duke of Friuli in the start date and Prince of Aquileia both in the start date and also allegedly by modern knights in canon proper. He is a member of the Eternal Senate of the Ventru, a Roman Republican-style governing institution, believes in the civilizing power of the res publica and civil service as a method to control their beast, and to curb the worst excesses of their fellow kindred as well through hierarchy, governing, and legislating. In the Senate, all Ventru adherents of it, regardless of age, sex, or blood generation, have a right of speech and voting power. Titus Brutus is nicknamed the Scion of the Republic, presumably due to his stoic and consistent service as Duke of Friuli for what has to have been a millennium now. As a character in Princes of Darkness, he is generous, just, humble, and a great eminence. True to this reputation, Titus Brutus bears few foes and many friends among the kindred society, a rare sight in vampire kind. Despite his truly old age, he keeps up well with contemporary society. He rejects delegation and isolation of typical nobility, who attempt to isolate from their servants, to seem above and superior. Influential and well-rooted, he rejects pomp and circumstance, and displays of submission by his subordinates. He projects a persona such of a master and administrator that he need none use such twee tactics. The rise of the necromancers of the Giovanni on his borders concerns him greatly, though he sees them equally as a potential asset and ally, as they are merchants in their Venetian nature. Demetrius of House Alexander is a Greek 5th generation Ventru who is stubborn, vengeful, and deceitful. He possesses a mediocre intrigue education, and notably possesses the obfuscate discipline, which is not a clan power of the Ventru. He is a childer of Alexander of the Ventru, and a grandchilder of Ventru himself. Demetrius is Count of Tortona in 1230 AD in Princes of Darkness. Demetrius was one of the Greek colonists of Massalia and a distinguished member of the Ventru. He was Prince of Massalia until Gaul was conquered by the mortal general Julius Caesar. Yes, the one you're thinking of. He, a vengeful liar, as explained, immediately suspected conspiracy and stormed into the Ventru Ephorate, accusing Gaius Fabricius of the Eternal Senate of orchestrating the seizing of Massalia by Rome. His other accusation was failure to make Julius Caesar into a pawn. Innocent of the first, and the second being ridiculous, Gaius bore Demetrius no ill will, but eventually took up the war due to Demetrius's aggression. Demetrius was delivered a masterstroke blow when Massalia was sacked by Saracen Muslim pirates in 838, and assassins from the Ashira coming short behind them and among them to assassinate Demetrius. This was arranged by Fabricius, and Demetrius was sent fleeing from the city. Demetrius aims to reclaim Massalia and potentially seize all of France. In canon, he achieves neither, and continues his feud into modern nights, hunting the distant grandchild of Fabricius simply for association. Ferox, son of Boudica, son of Prasutagus, and a ghoul of the Iceni, who sacked Camulodunum in a rebellion instigated by the Brujah in their generational blood war against the Ventru and Rome. He defended his mother against the Ventru reinforcements as they crushed the rebellion, and also prevented the vampires from forcefully embracing his mother, likely from both the Brujah, who would turn her into a propaganda figurehead against the Ventru, and also the Ventru, undoubtedly to embrace her for revenge, and inevitably see her collapse into becoming a wight to humiliate her. The Brujah made Ferox into a ghoul on the Isle of Mona, and there he fought the Ventru once more, where they captured and interrogated him after the Brujah fell, where he said nothing. This impressed the Ventru, who preserved him as a ghoul and kept him as a bodyguard to their elders. In the last days of Western Rome, Ferox became a Christian, and was put into service of Fabricio Ufilla, and later in canon the Ventru would pawn him off to the Tremere to try to be rid of him. This would culminate in him aiding in the Gargoyle Rebellion against the Tremere and his embrace by the Gargoyles in 1497, leading to his memory being completely wiped by the embrace and turning him into a religiously zealous, stone-skinned aberration against God and his order, who violently hunts the Nosferatu, believing them to be agents of Satan. This is amusing because this simply means he's distracted from hunting the Bali, who are actually demon thralls. Ferox is one of the gargoyles to be named Rock Lord by the clan. This is not to be mistaken for the actual Rock Lord of Peremishil in 1230, in the start date of Princes of Darkness. Fabricio Ufilla, better known as Ulfilias or Wulfila, was a 4th century Gothic preacher who compiled the Gothic Bible and played an invaluable and vital role in the preservation and documentation of the Gothic language and its runes, codifying the Gothic alphabet and playing a critical role into the blossoming field of Germanic literacy. He was a proponent of the teachings of the preacher Arius, and in Princes of Darkness, he is a 5th generation Ventru, the childer of Tinia the Explorer, and the grandchilder of Ventru himself. He has long been a member of the Ventru Ecclesiasticals, and has been dodging typical vampire court assassinations for centuries, remaining loyal to the principles of Dignitas. However, the man, as always, errs. First with inciting the papacy against the Cathars of Languedoc, causing the Albigensian Crusade, and forming the hardcore of the later Shadow Inquisition and Society of Leopold, if not inciting the Burning Times, certainly making it much worse. He, however, survives to modern nights unscathed. Good morning. I hope this correspondence reaches you in good health and tidings. Today we discuss Gratiano de Veronese, Count of Verona, directly the childer of La Sombra himself, a rare case of a Methuselah who's under 100 years old. Gratiano is a mere 50 years old by 1230, and is actually in fact the second youngest 4th generation vampire at the start date of Princes of Darkness, next only to Regent Grimgoth, who in turn is unsurprisingly a Tremere, legitimized Caitiff as Tremere are. Gratiano was born in 1180 and embraced when he was 43, meaning he's only been a vampire for 7 years by start date. Gratiano was a scheming, sinful politician, which is to say, a politician. This interested Lasombra, who ruined his life before turning him into a vampire, because the Lasombra are a clan of cartoon villains, all the way to the top, and have always been. Naturally, a cretin like Gratiano wanted respect immediately and power without earning it, and was immensely envious of Montano of the Sea of Shadows. Gratiano would later be the primary instigator of the First Anarch Revolt and lead an army to storm the lair of Lasombra, and assist in the creation of the Sabbat from the First Anarch Revolt. He, being the fool he is, squanders this chance and fades into obscurity. Gratiano is nicknamed in-game as the Upstart, which is ironic, because up is the only direction this man's height does not go. No, it is not just your eyes, nor is it my art. He is shorter than the vast majority of other male kindred in this game, just enough it's noticeable. And his god-awful posture from hunching over like that isn't helping his case. So yes, he has a Napoleon complex to end all Napoleon complexes. Yes, I am taking this joke of a man with the exact amount of seriousness he deserves. Good night, Poppet. One of the two figures in an infamous millennia-long spanning feud typical of vampire politics among kindred who never learned to let go of infernal old grudges. A trait, I'd argue, is further evidence of elder vampires being fatally more human than they'd ever want to admit. Gaius Fabricius, Count of Novara, Childer of Medon, grandchilder of Ventru himself, Gaius was accused by Demetrius of Tortona, at the time, Prince of Massalia, in the Ventru for centuries after it was seized from Bruja princes, aligned with Carthage. Massalia was a pre-Roman Greek city-state colony, which is now known as the French city of Marseille. Gaius was accused of orchestrating the conquest of Massalia through the mortal general, Julius Caesar, of Roman Empire fame, during his campaigns across later provincial Gaul, of which Fabricius was innocent. Gaius initially bore Demetrius no ill will for the accusation, but eventually took up the conflict as well in retaliation for Demetrius's aggression. Gaius struck a masterstroke blow against Demetrius, hiring Ashira assassins who almost slew Demetrius during the sack of 838. This sent Demetrius into hiding. Freed of the aggression of Demetrius, Fabricius went on to play a major part in the ousting of Alexander the Mycenaean of the Ventru from rulership of France by night. He later utilizes the potential of his grandchilder, Savia d'Auvergne, promoting her supposedly, by organizing her to diablerize her sire, Titus Gaius, who in turn was the childer of Fabricius, elevating her blood potency and sending her as an aide to Alexander's court. Fabricius wished Alexander toppled, not just for power, but also as Alexander was the sire of Demetrius. This culminates in Matriarch Saliana and Geoffrey du Temple orchestrating a palace coup and overthrowing the Mycenaean. The blood feud of Demetrius and Gaius continues in canon even unto modern nights. Just the status quo the enemies of both of them prefer. She's really cute. She also looks like she chews on the toes of sleeping children after drinking their father's blood. Lucretia Giovanni, the reckless occultist. Lucretia is the Countess of Turin in 1230 AD at the start date of Princes of Darkness. She is 25 years old by start date. Lucretia is a 7th generation vampire of Clan Cappadocia, later 6th through Diablerie. Lucretia was born in the Swiss Alps, and tormented from birth by whispering voices, and was consigned to an asylum. It is important to note, considering this is World of Darkness, that her condition could be literally anything from worm taint to a bane tormenting her, to a shade or maybe even a demon. Or it could just be plain old Walmart brand schizophrenia. After all, not everything is supernatural in this setting. Either way, in the actual game, she does not have lunatic or possessed as traits. While consigned, she was sought for the vampiric embrace by many of Clan Giovanni, but kept away from them by her great-great-grandfather Claudius Giovanni. Claudius intended Lucretia to be his childer. However, after his fall from grace, and Lucretia poisoning her own parents in revenge for what they did to her, consigning her to an asylum, Ambrogino Giovanni, Duke of Dalmatia, was offered a boon by Patriarch Augustus Giovanni, and Ambrogino took it in the form of selecting Lucretia for the embrace. On her 21st birthday, Lucretia underwent the ritual of the embrace, and actually became friends with Ambrogino, something actually very uncommon with vampires, as most vampires are antisocial freaks pretending to be suave and competent. She and her sire dedicated their lives to trying to hunt down and obtain the Sargon Codex, the clay tablet containing the works of Cappadocius himself, in his days as a mortal and mage, likely written in cuneiform, as that was the writing system of the era and time he lived in. Lucretia is, to put it mildly, wildly reckless in her tasks and activities, often putting herself at great severe risk of final death, which deepens the suspicion such a self-annihilating derangement, and also possibly the voices in her head she hears, are indeed meddling of the Urim. Her fate in canon is to continue seeking her scholarly pursuits, and never finds her desired end. She is the sire of Andreas Giovanni. Regent Leduc, a former mage of the Order of Hermes, a 5th-generation Tremere vampire, and originally master of the Paris Chantry, before the days of the Tremere becoming undead via Goratrix's ritual of usurpation, an advisor to Tremere himself. Leduc is known as the Voice of Reason, likely because in a clan of vampires who used to be people who could literally alter reality itself by believing hard enough, elder vampires of the Tremere can often be exceedingly prideful and bullheaded, and need someone with one foot still in reality to rein them in. He is one of the Council of Seven, and was present for the Diablerie of Sauglot. Leduc is ruler of the Duchy of Emilia by 1230 in Princes of Darkness. He is humble, diligent, content, has 4th level learning education, and the Wise Man trait. He's probably, unironically, one of the nicest people in Princes of Darkness, with this personality set. Petrus Pisanus Urbalus, 5th-generation Giovanni, a childer of Augustus Giovanni, grandchilder of Cappadocius himself, is a liar, a historical falsifier, and claims to either be Petrus Pisanus, a papal cardinal of Santa Susanna, who died in 1145, or Peter of Pisa, a grammarian, deacon, and poet who died in 799 AD. He is neither of these. He is a merchant turned vampire who hasn't even been alive long enough to be the latter, as he was born in 1026 AD. He is the Duke of Pisa in 1230 AD in Princes of Darkness, and has been trying to claim his lineage leads back to the Roman Empire and the cult of Jupiter. He is engaged in the power struggle of the near-anarchic fighting of Italian city-states and invested decades' worth of resources and efforts into the Republic of Pisa, and is greatly displeased with the Venice Giovanni, ignoring the Genoese threat. He is, in-game, outright a rival of Augustus Giovanni. Take of this what you will. Count Anicius the Golden of Firenze, one of the 2 rival princes of Florence and Count of Firenze in 1230 AD in Princes of Darkness. He is gregarious, greedy, and deceitful. He is an 8th-generation Lasombra, who is the childer of Guillermo of Venice and grandchilder of Narses, the Hammer of the Goths. He is allied with the Guelphs in the Guelphs and Ghibellines Italian city-state rivalry in history, and with Bandecca Manelli of Bruja, leader of the populist faction. Rivaled with Panfilio of the Ghibellines, their constant conflict reduces Florence to a shadow of his potential in Italy by night in 1230. In 1258 in canon, he succeeds in slaying Panfilio, and survives to become a powerful member of the Sabbat, until he perishes roughly during the late 18th century. Laura di Salerno, of the Cappadocia, 11th generation vampire, Countess of Orbitello, childer of Gianni, grandchilder of Andel, born during a plague, attending funerals of her village,
Weakly due to casualties, she has been a scholar of death longer than her embrace, beginning with pressing the priests of her village, and unsatisfied with their answers. She pulled a Mulan and dressed as a man, attending the University of Salerno, and later murdered a professor there, allegedly because he attacked her, but as always, it's healthy to be skeptical when a future member of clan Let's Kill Everyone and Enslave Their Ghosts murders someone before their vampiric embrace. Gianni of the Cappadocia found her during this event, and embraced her into undeath instead of leaving her to the justice system. She failed persistently at adherence to the Road of Bones, and studied persistently to an alternate path. She instead took up the Road of Beasts, typically the realm of the gangrel, at the cost of being alienated for her foreign belief.